The hum of the Genesis was a constant lullaby for me, a vibration in my bones since the day I emerged from the birthing pods. 18 years, that's all I've ever known. Recycled air, the sterile gleam of metal corridors, and the flickering star field visible through the viewports in our communal recreational rooms. They say we're on the fringes of the Milky Way. A lone ark carrying the last embers of humanity after Earth was destroyed in a great war. It's been over a century of humanity in this metal, floating through space in search for a new home. School was all about the Genesis. History lessons were filled with grainy vids of a forgotten blue planet, its verdant surface a ghost haunting our collective memory. Science classes drilled the importance of asteroid mining, the constant hunt for the resources to keep this Leviathan operational. Every malfunction, every flickering emergency light, sent a tremor of fear through the ship. We were entirely dependent on its aging systems. There were trials, of course. Every year, a select few were chosen for procreation, or engineering their genes meticulously analyzed for compatibility and resilience. Failure meant quote-unquote volunteering for riskier mining expeditions, ventures into the uncharted depths beyond the ship's protective energy shield. My best friend Kai failed his trials last week. His hands too shaky, his reflexes a hair too slow. Now he's destined for service as an asteroid miner. His face, once a constant companion on my explorations of the virtual reality park, now only appeared on scratchy vids, his smile strained against the backdrop of an asteroid field. The trials were the crucible of our youth. At 18, we faced the Council, a group of weathered elders who held the fate of the Genesis in their hands. They tested our knowledge of the ship systems, our physical prowess in simulated zero-G environments, and our mental fortitude in grueling psychological evaluations. Failure meant a life of menial labor, toiling endlessly to keep the groaning machinery functional. My trial loomed close, a dark cloud on the horizon. I yearned to be an engineer, one of the chosen few who kept the Genesis from crumbling apart. Days bled into nights as I pored over dusty manuals, memorizing the labyrinthine network of pipes, wires, and reactors that kept our artificial world alive. Sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. Last night, I snuck out of my assigned dorm room and made my way to the restricted archives. It felt like trespassing on forbidden knowledge. On a dusty terminal, I unearthed a historical record, a vid message from the captain of the Genesis, sent a century ago. His weathered face filled the screen, his voice a crackle of static.
We may never find a new Earth, but the journey itself is our purpose. Keep exploring and keep hoping. Never lose sight of the stars, for they are our legacy.
His words sparked a flicker of rebellion within me. Maybe there was another way. Maybe this wasn't just about survival, but about forging a new future, even if it meant venturing into the unknown. As I stared out the viewport at the swirling nebula, a single thought bloomed. The Genesis may be our only home now. The day of my trial had finally arrived, my heart hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The council chamber was a stark room, devoid of ornament, dominated by a holographic display flickering with a schematic of the Genesis. I answered their questions with a forced calm, sweat slicking my palms. Then came the practical test. They led me to a simulated asteroid mining rig, a cramped metal pod with flickering control panels. I had to navigate the virtual asteroid field, avoiding hazards while deploying the mining lasers with pinpoint accuracy. My fingers danced across the controls, a practice symphony honed by countless hours of simulation. Silence greeted my performance. It felt like an eternity before an elder, his face creased with the map of a forgotten world, finally spoke. "Pass," he rasped, his voice like dry leaves rustling. Relief washed over me, so intense it almost knocked me off my feet. Life as an engineer was no picnic. We worked in shifts, bathed in the harsh glare of emergency lighting, constantly battling fatigue and the ever-present threat of system failure. But there was a sense of purpose in the grease-stained grime, a connection to the beating heart of the Genesis. Within the first week of being on duty, during a routine inspection, we discovered a critical reactor leak. Panic clawed at my throat. If we couldn't contain it, the entire ship could be crippled. Days turned into a sleepless blur, as we scrambled for a solution. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we managed to patch the leak, the air thick with the metallic tang of victory. That night, gazing out at the endless tapestry of stars through a viewport, a profound sense of responsibility settled upon me. We, the generation born on this lonely vessel, were the custodians of humanity's last hope. The future, uncertain as the vast expanse of space before us, depended on our ability to keep the Genesis alive. It was a daunting task, but one I, and countless others like me, were determined to fulfill. I woke up the next day excited, as today was one of Kai's limited allowance for deep space transmission calls. The flickering light of my terminal cast harsh shadows on my face as Kai's face filled the screen. His tired smile was a familiar sight, etched with the ever-present grime of service duty. We exchanged the usual pleasantries, a nervous edge to my voice. Passing the trials felt like a wall had been built between us, a silent acknowledgement of the vastly different paths our lives had taken. Just as the call was about to end, Kai leaned closer, his eyes flickering nervously around the room even though I knew he was alone in his cramped quarters.
Amara,
He whispered, his voice barely a rasp against the static.
they found something on the last haul.
My heart hammered against my ribs. Anything new, anything unexpected, was a potential threat in the controlled chaos of the Genesis.
What is it?
I asked, leaning closer to the screen.
It's not a rock.
He answered, his voice barely above a whisper. He took a deep breath.
We were scouting a new mining site and uncharted cluster when the sensors picked up something weird. A big metallic object not like any asteroid we've seen. Smooth curves and strange symbols.
A shiver ran down my spine. Alien technology was the stuff of whispered legends, bedtime stories meant to scare children into obedience.
What are the foremen saying?
Keeping it quiet. Clamping down on communications extra security near the docking bay too.
Kai's voice was strained.
They're scared. Don't know what to do with it. We found it half buried in the asteroid field. Foremen are keeping it quiet, saying it's a freak mineral formation. But Amara, I swear, it's a ship. An alien ship.
Dread bloomed in my chest. This was a game changer, a potential threat or a savior. But with the authoritarian council in control, who knew how they'd react?
Kai, you can't tell anyone else. They'll lock you down, erase your memories.
Don't worry.
He said, a hint of his old swagger returning.
They ain't got the tech to mess with my head.
A sad smile played on my lips.
Thanks, Kai. You're the best. Did you at least get a good look at it?
Silence stretched on the screen.
Just a glimpse. But Amara, it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
Be careful, Kai. This could be big. But it could also be dangerous. Don't do anything rash.
He nodded, a sad smile gracing his lips.
Thanks, Amara, but it's you who should be taking your own advice. I miss you. Now, I gotta go before Foreman Garen notices I'm missing.
The comm flickered off, leaving me staring at the blank screen. Kai's discovery ignited a spark of excitement, quickly doused by a wave of fear. We were on the edge of something monumental, something that could change everything. But the question remained, would it be our salvation or our doom? My mind raced, already forming a plan. I had to see this alien vessel. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Dr. Sci-Fi. On behalf of yours truly and Marvin, the overworked intern who keeps forgetting to refill the anti-gravity coffee machine. Seriously, Marvin. But we do appreciate you joining us on this cosmic voyage through the boundless wonders of science fiction. Please like, subscribe, and comment.